Welcome. This is For Better and Worth.
The podcast where we don't believe you have to sacrifice your relationship while you grow and build your net worth.
We are your hosts.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Ericka Young. And we're so glad you're joining us today.
All right, y'all. Let's get into it.
Hey, honey.
Hey, people. We are back at it today. And yes, hey, honey. I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm here, babe. I know you love talking to the people, though.
I know. I think I'm just eager to get to the topic.
Lord.
I was just feeling it, so.
Here we go. Here it is. Here it is.
Look, folks, this is the podcast where, we want to always bring, some good content and give you things for your life. But sometimes we just got to take a moment and talk about our life.
Oh, Lord. So, yes, we do. And I'm coming as the person with the tail between my legs.
I wouldn't even say that. The people just want to know what goes on in the young household sometimes. And, we just want to make it something that people can relate to.
Well, and the truth of the matter is that just because we've been doing this for more than 2 decades doesn't mean that we don't have moments of, what do we say?
I don't know. It might be like memory loss or, you just out in the wilderness doing stuff.
So, yeah, we all have our moments and I had one. But before we go there, let's just preface this by saying that we're going to have a good time. Like, no matter what, we're going to always have us a good time.
Life is short, and you got to enjoy the journey. And, I don't want to overcomplicate the journey sometimes. But, I remember back in the day, was it Arsenio Hall used to say things that make you go,
Ooh, that's a good way to put today, babe.
That's what I was like. Things that make you go,
I think a lot of our listeners will feel the same. So, anywho, I'm just going to ask you a question. Let's jump right on in. Have you ever spent money on something that you consider ridiculous?
Well, me, no.
Oh, Lord. Here we go.
I don't. I spend money on things that, bring me corresponding value or happiness or joy. So ridiculous, I don't know if I would say that, but I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to think it through. For a second, and maybe I'll come back to you.
So, okay. All right. What about, let me change the question here.
Okay.
Have you ever spent money on something that other people might find ridiculous?
Yes.
Can you share or elaborate, husband?
I think if I were to say there was something I spent money on and you were like, really? It might have been when I was buying a new bike.
Yeah.
And, look, people, I'm of the mindset that there's good, better, best. And depending on the situation, I tend to trend towards best.
You say trend towards best or always want said best in that category?
I think everybody wants the best.
I don't agree. I really don't agree.
I don't know. I believe everybody wants the best, but sometimes you got to take your budget into account and assess, well, can I afford best? Maybe, good is on the budget. Better is a little stretch, and best might be, a future goal. So, look, I bought a bike and, I was planning to, do a mini triathlon, and it was a reason for me to go and buy a new bike. My old bike I had for 20 years, so I felt like I was due for a new bike.
Fair enough. You were absolutely due for
I didn't go buy a $10,000 bike or anything crazy.
We got to preface it by saying what you didn't do so we can get to what you did do. But okay, keep going.
Yeah. So I think just in terms of your question, that's probably the thing that I know you be like, yeah, this is ridiculous. Why are you spending all this money on a bike?
Hmm. And I think that it is also relative, right? I mean, because I don't care about bikes that much, that's not something that it doesn't push my buttons in terms of gotta spend, gotta spend. Matter of
Yeah.
fact, when we went to go get my bike, I was like, what's the least amount that I can pay
Right. And
to have,
I was like, look, you need to get the better bike. You
eh,
don't need the best, but
case in point, I didn't want the best.
yeah.
Right. I
True.
was in that regard, I was like,
You're like good is good enough.
it is. Good is good enough because I know my cost per use was going to be way too high if I
Yeah.
got a bike that was really expensive.
It's funny that we're talking about this because like something that simple, like people think, well, just go buy a bike.
Yeah.
You go to like Walmart, bikes are not cheap anymore.
So are you
I
comfortable?
wasn't going to Walmart buying no bike.
Exactly. So you already said the high
Yeah.
limit. It wasn't gonna be no $10,000 bike, and you wasn't gonna go to Walmart where Walmart's bikes ain't.
Right.
You
It's
can
like
get
a
you
$300,
$300-400 bike.
Right.
So what did
I
you
wasn't
spend?
getting a $300 or $400 bike either.
What did you
know?
spend, my friend?
I feel like this is a setup.
It is.
You trying to
It is.
you trying to draw into question what I have done in the past when you are out doing ridiculousness.
True facts. But
So-
anyway,
I bought a very nice bike, people. That's what I could say.
he will
it
not
was not
share the amount.
it was not a carbon fiber. It just had a carbon fork. So, it's
hilarious.
like- right. So people bikers, they'll understand, oh, he got a carbon fork.
No, that
It's
is
a
not.
decent bike.
You know what? The percentage of our listeners that are actually bike enthusiasts
Probably low. Probably
is
low. I'm
exactly. So you still
guessing.
don't want to
I
say
spent,
that.
I spent $1,500 on the bike.
Okay, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah,
He told
it's
the
all
truth
good.
and shamed the devil.
Yeah, it's all good. Bike's gonna last me for a good long time, so I'm happy with my purchase.
Yeah,
But yeah, you said that you lured me,
I did.
baited me to try and dilute.
Is that the word?
Yes, that is the trying to dilute.
So this is fresh off the press, okay? So I'm over here still in the realm of the silliness that was created recently with something I spent money on.
Before you even get into it, I think this is just so appropriate because people who are listening to this, when we get into this, more detail, these conversations happen in couples every single day.
Yep.
I am absolutely certain. Like somebody goes out and they get caught up in the moment and buy something, then come home and the spouse or the partner, significant other finds out. They're like, wait a minute, you did what? Or you spent what? Did you forget about the plans that we had? Or did you forget about, the agenda that we're on, getting out of debt or saving? So I think this is something that happens all the time with people.
I think buyer's remorse is a real thing. So it's a real thing.
Can you return the item you bought?
I'm
curious.
I
do you have a receipt?
know. Yes, I do.
You know what? I might try and take it back.
I don't know if that's possible, but yeah. Okay. So
So have you ever spent money on something that's ridiculous?
Okay, yes. And this, I'm gonna be very honest and say this is not the first time.
I'm glad you could be honest with yourself
No.
and honest with the people.
No, I'm gonna tell you, my ridiculousness is usually low. Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's not on the same level.
it's usually low. So because I don't actually enjoy spending money. We had this whole conversation about I don't enjoy spending money, but yesterday I got caught up, and so there's that. So I don't even know how to begin this part of the conversation.
I'm gonna start
husband.
it out.
Okay, praise the Lord.
I don't know when this episode is airing, but just to give you guys a frame of reference, the All-Star Weekend this year, 2024, was in, Indianapolis, Indiana,
Where we are.
and that brings all the stars out, and so there are people all over the city, doing events and parties and. So we happen to have someone in our local community and it was your very own Curtis 50 Cent Jackson.
So a
Oh,
girlfriend,
wait. Curtis 50 Cent.
right, 50. 50. So a girlfriend of mine sent a text message out. Hey y'all, guess who's coming to our local Kroger signing his new alcohol brands that have come out and
Signing bottles.
signing bottles and taking photos. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's less than 10 minutes away from my house. Yeah, let's see if we can try and figure out how to do this, right? So we pop out on a Friday and meet at this Kroger.
Hold on. Now, mind you, people, I was away on a work trip. Okay? I was out in the salt mines trying to make things happen for my family.
So while the hubby is away, the ladies will play, and
They need supervision.
that is exactly what occurred. We pull up, me and my girlfriend, we pull up to the Kroger, and it's busy. First of all, we were like, oh, I don't know if these people gonna come out and see 50 Cent, all of this. So parking was a trouble, situation. So we parked way in the back, and I was like, well, here we go. These people are here. Now, granted, he was only here for 2 hours, and we were only 15 minutes into the first hour when we arrived. And we walk in, it's a DJ, it's music going, it's a line.
It had created a whole vibe.
It was a whole vibe as soon as you walk in. And I
see what people don't know about you is that you will dance for free.
I will dance to
They had the DJ. They were luring you in because I could see. I wasn't there, but I could see you like, I could see you dancing.
I'm gonna tell you, my eyes glazed over when I knew the vibe was there. I was like, oh my gosh! And it's Friday afternoon. Now I had plans to go do a workout, and so I had on my little leggings, and I was not dolled up or anything. Like, I just came to kind of see what the situation was. But then I saw neighbors, and I saw people I knew, and I was like, these folks then came out to see 50 Cent over here in the suburbs. So I said, oh Lord, this is happening. Then I poked fun at the folks in the line. I said, y'all know y'all need to be at work. We out here doing all this. I walk into the store, there's another line. So how this worked was you had to purchase the alcohol, get in that line to do so. Then you had to get in another line if you wanted to take a photo with him. And that line was long and wrapped around, and that's where the music was. Then they took you by groups of 20 over to the area where he was, where security was, and you had to wait your turn and, move your belongings out the way and all that so you can actually get this photo behind the screen. So it was a whole process. And, I'm just having a good time seeing folks I know.
And now I will say, you send me a picture of you and our friend, in line. I was like, okay, cool. Have fun. I'm at work, doing what I need to do. And so I was like, okay, cool. I'm not thinking anything of it. Like, well, she there, they together, cool.
Yeah. And so I get to the place where we get in the bottles, and I'm not a drinker like this. Like, I have recently, just in my mid 40s is when I decided, I want to have a couple drinks of wine. That's just that's all I do.
You are not a drinker by any measure.
I'm a lightweight, and I only like the sweet wines. That's easy, right? So
you like sugar.
Literally, it's probably not the wine. It's the sugar I'm addicted to.
It's the sugar. It's like drinking dessert.
So he had his cognac, and he had, and I'm like, I don't know nothing about any of that. But they had champagne, which, again, is not my jam. But I was like, it's a really pretty bottle. This would be really like a beautiful, display, perhaps, with his signature on. Honestly, I was
there are so many things. It's like a rabbit trail here. Like, they had the music, it lured you in. Then you saw people you knew, and it was a vibe, that got you going. Then you saw the bottles, they were pretty.
Lord have mercy. And I'm over here right now laughing and smiling because, if you don't know me, embarrassment shows up in laughter. So this is exposure right now, and so it is wildly uncomfortable.
So carry on with your story.
So I find this beautiful bottle, and they said you can get it in the box or not. I said, oh no, we want the box if it's the same price. And I didn't ask the price. I was in line for 20 minutes, came up to pay for it, and when the woman told me how much it was, I cussed. I
You're
said,
like, uh-oh.
and the second thing out of my mouth was, my husband is gonna kill me. And I looked around, I was like, I was in this line for 20 minutes. Am I gonna just put it back? What does that mean?
So
So
then you felt another rabbit trail. You felt the pressure.
I did. I looked around, I said, oh Lord, this is not what I expected. And then so I do have to say, the lady said, you do have to spend $100 in order to get your photo with him. And I said, oh, okay, well, then I guess I need to buy this. And I gave her my debit card and I bought this stupid bottle of champagne. And my friend wasn't nearby because she was at a different register. She too had the same experience, purchased something different and was like, well, I guess we in this. And she, the cognac was a little less, so she had to go ahead and get 2 bottles of that. So then we get in the line to wait for him. And we having a good time talking. This girlfriend, you gonna always have good time with your girlfriends, always, But
Which I have no problem with you hanging with your girl.
of course,
having fun.
of course, this is my homie, right?
Yeah.
So we in line, but we talking, and it's like solidly 30 minutes in this line because it wraps and comes back and all of this, and I'm like, what have I done? And then, you're at the point of no return, really. Like, you can't leave once you've gotten in the line. You can't leave unless you really got a meeting or something. And I didn't, you know what I mean? I had some work that I had been doing, but I could do that at 10 o'clock at night. So we are out here. And
at this point, people, I'm sitting in the airport trying to get a flight home. Or at least waiting to get on my flight to come home.
Yeah. So
and you're out here gallivanting around in the street.
I
buying bottles of champagne.
I was. That I knew that I probably wasn't gonna open. Like, I knew, that it was just.
Oh, we gonna drink that champagne.
Okay. And so he has spoken. So then they call us and get our 20 people to move on over to where he is, and we're like, oh my gosh, we are doing this, right? But we're here. I mean, we done already spent 45, 50 minutes.
Right, you committed. I'm committed at this point.
I'm committed. I done spent the money. I'm going to see him now, period. So they take our bags, they take our jacket, whatever, and we go and we take this photo. And it was literally 2 seconds. And I said, thank you for coming to see us. And they ushered me out of this little private area after I had my photo, and that was that. Ridiculous amount of money for a photo with 50 cents.
Okay, so now here's where I will pick up the story, people. Because I told you all I was at the airport waiting. So, I called to check in with my wife, let her know, hey, I'm about to get on my flight. I'll be home soon. And they were together in the car. And she said, look, I'm not even going to tell you what I spent on this. I was like, well, I saw it. You probably spent, $80, $90. It's like, all right, it's all good. And I said, well, why won't you tell me, though? I said, I'm just going to look at the account. But, long story
you had more things that were on your mind in terms of trying to get out of a city and into, the right city.
Exactly. And my flight got diverted and, delayed and all this craziness happened. So I finally make it home. And it's literally not until this morning that I just happened to look at the account and I saw a $160 purchase at Kroger.
Oh, Lord.
I was like, oh, she must have went grocery shopping while I was away. Okay, cool. And I come back into our room and we're talking and you show me like an article where it said, 50 cent.
At Kroger.
And I was like, wait a minute. 50 cent was at Kroger? And the pieces clicked for me. I was like, you paid $160 for that bottle of champagne? And you don't even drink?
Oh, Lord.
I was like, oh, Jesus. Then I went into my tirade. I was like, this is why you all need supervision. This is why you can't be left alone.
Girls gone wild.
Look, what's funny to me, though, and we're making light of it, and like I said, I think this happens every day. I said, there's the trappings. Because that's what it was. And you look at the rabbit trail.
Yeah.
I learned more just in this conversation with you.
Right.
there are the trappings that happen when you're out. The music and the vibe, it drew you in.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was pressure at the point of purchase because you're like, man, I've waited. I can't say no now.
Mm-hmm.
You might be embarrassed
Yeah.
to be like, well, the people saw me waiting, and then I got to the register and was like, no. So there's this, pressure, embarrassment factor. And then you waited longer and you were like, well, I'm at the point of no return, so I can't go back. And I think people encounter this
All the time.
all the time. Now, it's not going to change the course of life for us, but I will say, I hope this champagne is good.
Well, and
You can keep the bottle, but we're going to consume the contents.
I just want it to be at a time where we're celebrating something.
That's
Let's
cool.
make it special, baby. Let's make.
That's great.
But let's back up.
And next time I told her, I said, if you're going to do it, get the cognac.
I didn't make the proper alcohol purchase in addition to the ridiculousness of the spend, right? But
at least get some cognac we could sip on and enjoy over time.
that would have been all you. See, that would have been all you.
You never know. I might have doctored something up for you.
Now, the real deal, though, is I'd like to use champagne to make like a smoothie per se, like a fruit frozen drink. I do like that.
We do that in the summer. Look,
yeah, so that's an enjoyable
wine spritzer.
Yeah, like a wine slush type of thing or a champagne slush. So I like doing that. But I will back up and say making up was necessary, okay?
I was like, I'm going to need some breakfast. I'm going to need, look. Ain't nothing like some makeup love.
That's right. I was like, oh, I got some work to do up in here. I had breakfast and I had to do all the things.
Create a distraction, diversion.
That's what I had to do. Now that right there.
People, so you listening, we're very vulnerable and we're transparent. But your money can mess up your love life.
It can. Oh my gosh. So anyway, I honestly, in all honesty, I was embarrassed by that purchase. Like that was, for me, ridiculous on several levels. And I feel like the best way to put it was I got caught up. I absolutely I got caught up in the moment. I enjoy having a good time. There's music. There's people I know. We out here in line.
I just think it's funny.
It was the in crowd at that moment.
Yes.
That's what I got.
You were going along with the flow.
I was.
Because what's funny to me is if you were out shopping or doing something and you were going to buy $160 pair of shoes, you'd be like, there's no way.
You're right.
Which I would be more like, oh yeah, go ahead, do it. You're gonna get more enjoyment, more longevity, and all of that.
Yeah.
And so it's just funny that you got caught up in the moment and did something characteristically that you don't do.
Absolutely. And you know what's funny is if there were one, I don't think I've ever spent $160 on a pair of shoes. I think I've gotten close, but I don't think that I've spent that kind of money on a pair of shoes. And on top of that, I would sleep on it. I would be pondering. I would be trying to go find me a coupon. I would do all the things to ensure that I have done my due diligence.
But you were in a situation where you didn't have the ability.
That's right.
To ponder it or think about it or say, oh, I'll come back to it. And I just think this is an example that happens in relationships and couples' lives every day because you get caught up in the moment. And what you're doing, it could not be like this is not going to affect us long term, but it could be sometimes that people make a decision in the moment. And the first example that comes to me is like when you go to buy or you go to look at cars. And people have the mindset that, well, maybe we'll just go start looking. We're going to need a new vehicle down the road, but let's just go and look. And then you get out there and car fever, and it happens with houses too. House fever hits, and then it's like you got the cold chills. You can't shake it. And now next thing you know, it's a little bit easier with cars. Houses, that's a real big purchase. But you're in the dealership, and you've driven the car, and the salesman is like, look, can I get you some? Can I get you a drink? Can I get you some popcorn? We've got snacks over here. They're creating the environment and creating the vibe, and you're like, oh man, this is nice. And then they're like, look, let me go talk to my sales manager, and then they come back and look, we can get you this price today. So they're applying that pressure. We'll get you right where you want to be at this payment. And it's like you're embarrassed to say no because you can make the payment. And it's all the same trappings. And that decision and that purchase can have a much greater impact and implication on someone's life. But I bet this happens every single day.
Absolutely. And I would say that's a really great example because car purchases, brand new specifically, have depreciation that is fast and furious. And in the first couple of years that you own a car, a brand new car, you might as well throw $100 out the window every week due to depreciation. And so I think that, when we think about the ridiculous things that we do or the purchases that we make, sure, mine for me was ridiculous, right? Like that was just essentially that could be considered a waste of money. But I had a really good experience. Like I had fun. I had fun with my girlfriend.
I'm glad. I said you paid $200 to get a picture of 50 Cent.
Let me just tell you something. It is not $200. You always trying to inflate something. You are always trying to inflate. It was $149 bottle of champagne and had some tax. Okay.
Right. And you got an additional benefit of getting a picture with it.
Well, it was the whole vibe and experience. Right. It was an afternoon with my girlfriend. We had good conversation. I saw some people. We had some snacks.
What? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna leave it here at the podcast table. You paid for an experience.
I did. The truth is, I got caught up in the experience, and it cost me something.
Yes.
It did.
Yes.
It cost me something. So, yeah.
This reminds me, though, and this is my version of ridiculousness, but I was telling you while I was on my trip, my Uber driver told me about his cousin who bought a brand new Range Rover. I was like, oh, brand new Range Rover. Okay, that's $107,000. But he said he wanted to treat himself. He deserved it. So he goes and buys this Range Rover. And he says, oh, but he makes good money. And he said he makes about $95,000 a year. I was like, wait a minute. That's 100+% of your income that you're buying on a vehicle.
That is depreciating.
Yes, that everyone says is a service nightmare. Because an appropriate portion of your income for a car payment should be?
Well, a car payment, or honestly, he shouldn't have gone over, if he's making $100,000, he shouldn't have gone over $50,000 in a vehicle purchase.
To have a payment that would have been appropriate for his income.
Yeah, I mean, less than 15% of your take home pay at right. on debt products.
Right.
So when you think about that kind of stuff, I mean, people aren't in the moment thinking about it. They are not.
In the moment, he was thinking that I deserve it. I've always wanted it. This is my dream car. Sure, it's $107,000, but I got a 84-month loan probably.
Yep.
Which is insane when you think about it.
Back in the day, we couldn't fathom that. We were looking at a 5-year loan when you would get cars.
60-month loan.
Yes, 60 months, and then it went to 72, and now it's at 84. That's scary.
Right, he got a 7-year loan.
And these people ain't gonna keep these cars that long.
But then the worst part was he said they live in the East Coast area, and he's paying like $500 a month. To park the car.
See, and that's ridiculousness. Now he could be leasing that vehicle, and I think that's the other way that people.
I just hope there's a way out.
Yeah, he could be leasing it, and if he's leasing it and he keeps the mileage underneath, he can send the joker back. But I think that we make our ridiculous choices, in our own way, right? And the truth is that the only remorse I have about it. is that I had to fess up to my husband. Like I was with my girlfriends, everybody in line knew what we was paying.
You
That didn't matter.
partially fessed up because
No,
I
you're
I
right.
checked
I
the
waited. I
accounts.
waited. I knew you were gonna see it, and I wasn't gonna
Yes.
lie. Okay, I knew you were
Right.
gonna
I
see
checked
it.
the accounts and was like, oh, she went grocery shop. You bought a bottle of champagne equivalent to the groceries I expected you to buy. But like even with
Listen,
that,
can I just be honest?
go ahead.
Listen, you know nowadays I'm not out spending $160 on food no more. Like
You're right. I don't even know why I was expecting that.
that junk is funny right there. That's almost more hilarious that as an empty nester, we need to spend $160 on food, but
Right. But it's like
it
you
takes
on
so
your
much.
own,
It,
bro.
it takes so much effort. I'm like, you gotta come with me. You
Go
just
get
gotta.
some yogurt and some granola. You be all right. But I think these are just, I'm glad you didn't while I was away go out and buy $107,000 Range Rover.
Oh my God, no! I would have a heart attack. There's no way.
Yeah, I know that's an extreme, but I just thought that was such an applicable example. And having experienced this all in the same 24, 48 hours,
That's true.
it was just wild that here I have this example, and here I come home to a wood crate. So here's the question I have for you before we get into this. Make it worth it. Do you have any regrets at this point?
I don't have regrets. I would say I would do it differently, and how I would do it differently. Something I didn't realize is yes, there was $100 minimum to get a picture, but we should have just bought the lesser expensive items ourselves, like over $100, like between she and I,
Together.
and then just took one photo between us. That's what I would have done differently. I still probably would have done everything
Yeah.
without getting my own champagne bottle. She could have got a cognac and I could have got a cognac, and then we would have both saved money.
Right.
But
you both would have still had a great experience.
Exactly. So the answer is no, I wouldn't have not gone. Let's put it that way. But I definitely, had I been thinking properly in the moment, I would have done that.
And I think as people are listening to this, that is that's good, counsel or guidance is you don't have to say no.
Yeah.
You don't have to allow the moment and the vibe to get you caught up and the pressure to overtake you and then feel like you have no way to say no. You're just stuck.
That's so good.
Because you can still participate and do it, but sometimes even when you're in a high pressure situation like that, you could still pause and say, okay, wait a minute. What's the best way to do this right now?
Yeah.
You both would have still got what you wanted, saved money on both sides.
That's right.
But still walked away feeling like, oh, that was cool.
Yeah, because either way, it doesn't excite me to drink whatever that is in that bottle.
Exactly. And then you would have said, well, I got you a bottle of cognac, babe. And I'd have been like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. I texted you, but, I really wasn't 100% clear on what he had. And frankly, they only had a couple of options from his line. They didn't have everything. So you couldn't go in there thinking, one of 10 options. No, they had 3. They had 3 options. So, but yeah, so.
Well, 50, if you hear this, you can send us our endorsement. Send us a case of cognac.
Listen, much respect. I'm glad 50 Cent came to see us, and we supported him. Not that he needs our little money, but we supported him in our city because he was in our backyard. So, husband, how would you make it worth it?
I would make it worth it by communicating with your partner, saying, hey, I'm going to go and do this. I did a little, intel, and this is what it may cost me. And then just be clear. Just be clear on the front side, because then there's no surprises on the backside. And this is tongue in cheek, and we're joking about it, but I think there are situations that people and couples get themselves into that they're not tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
They're not joking and laughing, and it can have much bigger implications. So just talk about it and say, hey, I'm going here, I'm doing this, I may spend this. Are you cool with that? And then you can go and you don't have to feel embarrassment. You don't have to feel pressure. And you can just enjoy the moment and be there in that moment. Mm-hmm. So how would you go about making it worth it?
Well, I'm still considering that. You had a lot of good nuggets. And for me, I think this is always a reminder that no matter how well you do, how far you come, there's always that opportunity that can catch you up. And so I think never get too high for your britches. Ain't that what the grandpapa say?
Yeah, too big for your britches.
Yeah, right. Like everybody can be prey to situations that cause them to spend beyond what they would like to spend or on things that don't make a difference to their life, and so I think that one of the make it worth it probably is no matter how much progress you make, just know that you got to keep yourself together and think about the things that you just mentioned, because everybody can have a moment of weakness, and we have to build the strong behavior so that in the end, when things like that happen, either you take it back if that's what you can do, because the truth is I don't really want to do that, and I don't think that I can, but I think that everybody can have their moment of weakness, and hopefully the strong points are way more than the ones that are weak.
Look, I don't want you to take the bottle back, okay?
No, we not. It's too pretty.
Right.
She pretty.
But this was a small instance of something.
Yes.
And I think that the thing I want people to really hear and take from it is that it could be something of a much larger scale, so try and avoid that.
Yep.
So we needed to have like our cognac glasses
with toast,
champagne.
We're gonna toast.
Clink.
Whoop! There it is. All
well,
right, so it's been so good. I'm glad to have this confessional with you today, and until next time,
we're out. Thank you for spending some of your time with us today.
We appreciate all of your support. So be sure to subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen to this podcast.
You can find us on Instagram at For Better and Worth.
And sign up to receive our free guide, The 7 Reasons Your Money Relationship Isn't Working with Your Partner, on ForBetterAndWorth.com.
Until next time, we're out of here.